What's up, everyone, and welcome to the Pilots Club, a podcast all about the first episodes of television shows and the many reasons why they may or may not be worth a watch. Every month, we pick a different pilot episode to watch and then discuss it here on our show. We release these episodes first and foremost to our Patreon supporters at patreon.com/the Whatnauts on our $3 tier and above. And then 2 years later, we release these episodes to a wider audience on a public feed. So if you want to catch up on 2 years worth of episodes, patreon.com/the Whatnauts is the place to do that. When we first made the Pilots Club, it was a little rough around the edges, so we wanted to polish it up a bit and repackage it, so to speak, with this new intro. And eventually you will stop hearing me doing this pre-recorded intro, and I will just start saying it as we record each episode. But until then and beyond, please enjoy the show and what it grows into. Hey, welcome back to the Pilots Club. If you're keeping score, I think this is number 7 of our Pilots Club here that we started this year. Thank you for supporting us on Patreon. Obviously, if you are listening to this, you are one of our Patreon supporters at the $3 tier. We appreciate it a ton. It means a lot. We hope you enjoyed the show. Melissa, you brought the pilot for this week or this month here.
Yes.
Small Wonder.
Yeah, I figured last month we watched Wonder Woman. It's only natural we follow that up with Small Wonder, an 80s sitcom about a family that adopts a small robot girl.
Wow. I watched this like just before sitting down to record this. So you are still getting me processing all of this thing here. This was an interesting show. This was it was bad, but it was very funny at the same time.
Yes. Yeah.
Like it's so funny because it's bad. This was actually really fun to watch.
Yeah, I thought it might be an interesting peek into the show that I don't think this has left a large impact on culture. So I was shocked that I Googled it, and it ran for 4 years. It ran for almost 100 episodes.
That's what I was looking up right now. Like how long was the show?
85 to 89. Yeah.
Wow. Let's look at this Wikipedia here. Yeah, man. This seems like the kind of premise you would see on like a Disney Channel cartoon, right? Like it'd be like a prequel to like My Life as a Teenage Robot or what have you.
Yeah, this airs in the same block as Dog with a Blog.
Right? Yeah, this was interesting. So I mean, it's very straightforward. This guy works at a laboratory. We don't know much beyond that in the pilot here, but he's been working on this project kind of unbeknownst to his boss, and it is this robot that he calls Vicky. It's VICI.
Yeah, it's like it's voice input child identikit. He makes a child robot that you can give voice commands to, and they do need to clearly state why he made this, otherwise it's very creepy. He's like, I made this to like help children in hospitals. I wanted there to be like an assistant that they could have to help them do tasks and help them with therapy and things like that, which is a noble purpose.
Very, very noble cause for sure. But yeah, just real quickly devolves into late 80s, early 90s sitcom, like exactly what you would expect, like expect to a T. I have to say, I laughed out loud when they get the knock on the door and the kid opens it up, and it's like the best friend neighbor.
No,
I guess not best friend, but it's like the annoying girl neighbor that he just doesn't want anything to do with. And so he opens up the door and she's like, hi, how are you? And he's just like, hi, I'm fine. And then just shuts the door right on her face.
Yeah, there's a couple solid moments of timing. I think like the material's nothing stellar, but I think the actors are doing a decent job. Yeah. There's some hits and misses with that little boy, but he does decently for his age. And like the little girl playing Vicky, that's a very unique challenge to give to a young actor. And I think she does pretty well.
Yeah. Yeah. There are some movements or what have you that's like, okay, obviously you are a human. You haven't pulled one over on me yet. But yeah, she does a great job with that, being at such a young age. I think the ending of this episode, a great comedic timing by this child actor, right?
Yeah.
Just like, oh man, I have a feeling that I'm going to get into a lot of trouble with you. And then she says, trouble. And then does that like fake smile that she just learned, and it cuts right there. So good. But yeah, it's also just so bad. It's just, oh man, it's hard to describe like what kind of bad this is. Because like you said, the script is nothing special.
Yeah.
I don't like the actors are kind of whatever.
I think
it's just bland.
Yeah, it feels very cookie cutter, except for this one bizarre element added into the middle of it that is very unnerving.
Yeah. It's just wild to think about. 4 seasons of this. That I think is also another thing that's just like where do you go with a show like this? Like if you had to speculate, where does season 1 end up? Like, what is the progression of this show? Does the boss find out how, like, do they rope in this neighbor in like, you can never tell our secret? Like, what's happening here?
I think maybe Vicky goes to school, and maybe initially kids don't like her, but then they do. In classic sitcom fashion, it's like, wow, I guess you're pretty cool after all. And maybe the other kids start picking up her mannerisms. Maybe they start acting like her. What if suddenly Vicky is like the role model for all other children? So then you have an entire town, an entire school of children all behaving like robots, and then the government must intervene.
Beep, bop, boop. This local company was working on robotics. Let's put them under investigation. Yeah, I could see something like her going to school. I could even see the 2 girls trying to like, let's have a girl day, no boys allowed. Right. And what is the dangers of having this robot at this girl's house whose father also works at the same company? There is this like, like if he finds out, this isn't good. So I'm wondering, is there any kind of attempt to tell the boss that we have this thing? Like, is or is that like works. Or is this well, you didn't want to hear it in the first place, and now that it's been at our house for a year, like, I don't like, I'm maybe on grounds to be fired by this now, so maybe we don't tell the boss and we just keep it up. And
I looked through the Wikipedia, but it doesn't clear. All it says is that in the future, they do upgrade Vicky. Like, they say that Vicky gets an upgrade to account for the fact that the actress is, of course, aging and she looks a little older. And it's like, yeah, we gave her an upgrade and she can wear normal 1988 clothes now. But like, there's no, under like premise, there's no indication of where it ends. If there's like a standoff, if they ever make other robots so that Vicky has her own robot family, doesn't tell you. It doesn't tell you where anything goes. Although in later seasons, there is an evil robot who looks identical to Vicky named Vanessa.
Oh, man. Interesting.
So we'll get that at some point.
Stands for. Evil twin robot. Okay, that's interesting. That makes sense.
Under the reception, it says Despite proving popular among viewers, it has been widely regarded by some critics as one of the worst sitcoms of all time. A critic for USA Today listed it as a contender for one of the worst TV shows of all time in any genre in the year 2002.
Interesting.
This is up there with the Cop Rock and Puchinsky and Hat Squad.
Yep. One of the things that I noticed about this show is how horny the show was.
How horny the mother is.
But the mother, but like there is, it's not just horniness for horny's sake. It's also just how willingly they are to like. Imagine this is a family friendly show, right? It doesn't say or do anything that's kind of really out of like oh, you wouldn't want your kid to see that. But it is very willing to talk about babies and oh, this is obviously a sex joke that they are making here. It's not one that's explicit, but it is like I'm wondering if one of the reasons why it's so oddly received is just the conversations that it brings up within a family. Like, what do you mean it takes 9 months for a younger brother or sister to come along, Mom? Like, tell me more. It's like, kid.
Right, there's so many 80s parents who are forced into giving an awkward talk because of Small Wonder.
Right? That's what I'm wondering.
Like, it's a little boy who like really wants a younger sibling to play with, and his mom's like, well, we've been trying to work on it. And he's like, I don't know what you're doing, but I don't think you're trying hard enough. And when Vicky arrives, he asks her, like, do you know what it is they do? And she's like, I was not programmed with that knowledge. Which is appropriate. I'm glad that, like, for whatever immense robot knowledge she may have, at least at his age,
does not have any kind of sexual knowledge.
Right. Although maybe when she reaches, whatever age, when the other girls in her class are going to the room where they watch the video about what a period is, she gets like a chip implanted in her back that tells her these things. Weird. Who knows? Who knows how you puberty-ize a robot child? But yeah, and it seems like the mom's like, no, I want to get down with the dad. Like, I would like for us to have a kid sibling. And maybe the dad's like distracted by work. Like, he brings Vicky home to work on as like a personal project. And she's like, get it. The mom's really lovely. I did enjoy the mom. I think she's she's the least to do, but I think she is the strongest performer on the show. Mm-hmm. And like when she talks to the dad, like, I know a certain other doll that you could be working on later tonight.
Yeah. And she has on this like super fashionable like jumper, like one suit, like one piece onesie. She looks great.
She does. Mom from Small Wonder, possibly timeless. At first I thought I blinked and I missed something, but as I watched through the show, directly off the kitchen is the parents' bedroom. You open a door from kitchen and there is bedroom.
Interesting. I wasn't paying attention to like the layout of the house.
Oh, I do every time. I think when I was a kid, I like noticed the same set structure on two different shows. And now I like always think about it.
I wondered because there is the scene when it's the anniversary. They wake up that next morning. He's like, it's my parents' anniversary. And they try and bring them like breakfast in bed or something. They open the door, but the scene behind them is like a hallway when they open the door, right? I think.
Maybe like because we only watched, this is the Pilots Club. We watched the pilot. Maybe they're like, we have kitchen set done. We have Jamie's room. We have parents' bedroom. We haven't built a living room or any transitory spaces. There's no hallways yet. We're not done. So just pretend that they walk through a hallway and we cut those 5 seconds out.
Yeah, it might be something like that. But yeah, I was just like, man, this show is like oddly like it's as horny as you can get for a family friendly show. There is no
it is.
Like even the mother's like night gown pajamas is like the most modest covered up thing you can see here. That was just one of the things I was just like, man, they are going for it on the like this wife really wants to get to work on that second baby.
Right. Speaking of surprisingly horny family sitcoms, another reason I wanted to watch this is to see how much influence it had on WandaVision. Like that opening theme song is very much the opening theme song, and the look of the kitchen and some of the sets is a lot like the 80s episode of WandaVision.
I did think about that kitchen. I was like, that island and like the sink there looks a lot like what they have in WandaVision. That's interesting.
Other shows about robots trying to fit in and lead normal lives. Who else does WandaVision have to thank but Small Wonder?
Right, exactly.
There's also the bit where the dad's telling the mom everything that Vicky is made out of. And he's like, yes, there's real human hair for her hair. He's like, do you like the color or would you like a redhead instead? And he like pops the wig off of her and she's standing there bald. And I thought, Vicky walked so that 11 could run. From popular young adult shows about, unnatural stiff girls who learn to be true humans and have families and dads.
Indeed. Man, I thought the like worst bit of the pilot was when the kid takes Vicky out to the department store or whatever. God, the acting on that scene was so bad. It was awful. The weird like clown toy thing is strange.
Yes.
I do like Vicky like interacting with these new objects in the world. Like I like that idea. But just the fact that these two like workers, like janitorial workers, I don't know what they are. Just no concept of like, is this a product in the store? Is this a child? Is this just like, you take that one, I'll take this one, and they just lock it up in the closet? It was really fun. Like it was it's funny, but like I said, this is also like the worst scene. It's so bad. It's
so flimsy. They go to this department store that Jamie wants to buy an anniversary present for his parents. I feel like in sitcoms, a little kid acknowledging their parents' anniversary is such a huge thing, and I never hear of like actual people doing that. It's only when you're an adult and it's like, wow, my parents have been married for 50 years. Now I'm going to do something. But in this section of the department store, there's a display of like, there's a circus themed display of these like animatronic clowns with a sign up that says last day for clown display. And Vicky's interacting with them. She's like climbed behind the little velvet rope. And then these workers come out. They're like, sorry, kids, we got to pack up the clowns. One of them picks up the clown. One of them picks up Vicky. They put them in a storage closet that's like directly off the department store showroom floor. Lock them up and then say, let's go get a coffee before we finish the job. They came out, both picked up a single item, put single item away, and they're like, time for a break. Phew. We'll finish this later.
These union mandated 15-minute breaks in between moving clown displays. So funny. But yeah, it's like immediately the kid panics when he sees Vicky being put in this closet and tries to go back there, but he's not allowed back there. Like it's employees only, and just does the most obvious like, I need to get in the closet, but I'm not saying anything, but also don't look at me. Yes. I'm playing with this like weird plant that's just sitting here.
It's barely business. He reaches over and just like taps a vase. Like that's it.
Like do. And they just they're just like, oh well, coffee. And then they just have to.
All right, here we go.
And then he's locked out, and so he has Vicky knock down the door. Which I was like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. That tracks. another thing that I thought was really funny about this is that when they're first introducing Vicky to the family, the kid is like, "Can I keep her in the closet with all my other toys?" And you think, oh, he must have like action figures and dinosaurs and race cars and all this stuff. And then like a couple minutes later, when you see his room and he opens the door to his closet like that next morning, you think all of his toys are going to be, and he's going to have all this stuff, train track sets and everything. He has Vicky and then a stoplight. like a street stoplight, like a red, yellow, green. Just like, what the fuck is in your closet, kid? What kind of toy is this? Are you a robot? Like, oh God.
I love unnatural set dressing on kids' rooms in TV shows and movies. This is something I think I thought of putting in the review show bingo this year. I love these props that like I've never seen in any real kid's room. I've never even seen in like a catalog. Pottery Barn Kids does not have a stoplight in the room. This is this is sitcoms only. These rooms are always filled with like, here's a small statuette of a baseball player. Here's like several road signs, all this nonsense. Boys' rooms especially. They're like, I don't know what a boy's like. What goes in here?
Couldn't even have like a train track set, some like knockoff Nerf gun or squirt
nothing.
Gun. Like, man,
there's
like,
not a jacket or a hat in that closet. It's like, yeah, it's my stoplight closet. now with room for Vicky.
He just plays red light, green light alone in his room.
I do like that he's wearing Gremlins pajamas and he's got a Gremlins poster on his wall, specifically with Gizmo. And I'm like, oh, he likes Gizmo. And now he has a Gizmo. He has a robot in his room to be his friend.
Very own Gizmo. Yeah. I was like, did Melissa pitch this because she knew there was a Gremlins reference in here?
No, I did not. Imagine if this was my criteria. There's like in the back, I don't care what the movie is, but in the background of one scene, there's a poster on a wall for another movie I like. Let's throw it in. Let's make Kyle watch it.
So funny. I don't know if I have much more to say on this one.
What can be said?
It was a blast to watch.
Yeah.
But it's bad. It's so bad. It's so much fun though.
It is, yeah, it's not good. It's, I don't know, like I said, it's just sort of cookie cutter. Like, it's not upsetting. It's not super boring. It's just sort of like, yes, that is sitcom. Mm-hmm. That checks the box of being a sitcom. Like, it meets every requirement and doesn't do anything special or extra except having the robot girl, which, like I said, the little actress does a good job, but it can be unnerving. I understand why this is a show that like adults were like, I don't like this, and kids were like, yeah, it's fun. Look at her.
Good stuff. Yeah. So that is it for that one, for Small Wonder. Next month, here's what we're gonna do, Melissa. We are going to watch the TV pilot for The Shield.
Oh, wow.
Right. Complete left turn here. I wanted to do the pilot for vinyl, which we had discovered like a couple months ago that is like the most expensive pilot that has ever been produced, at least so far. It's an HBO show, but it is not on HBO Max. I think did you mention they maybe recently took it off in the midst of this Discovery nonsense. So that's not on there, so we haven't gotten to do that yet. Though I did notice that I was looking on Amazon. I could maybe have watched it on Amazon for free, but it was like bonus watch now for free. And so I was just like, I don't know what that means. I don't think that's gonna be real reliable. So I was like, all right, let's do something else. The Shield, which it was an FX show in the early 2000s. In 2002 is when it got started. This is a show that I didn't know about until years later. And man, I mean, I was what, 12 years old, 11 years old when it originally came out. So it wasn't necessarily on my radar, but found out about it much later and have just heard nonstop. Like, this is phenomenal show. Like, you need to watch this show. And especially me, like, being into crime shows and stuff like that, I was just like, well, I kind of need to check this out eventually. Michael Chiklis stars in this American crime drama from the early 2000s that centers on corrupt cops. This was kind of the big thing about this show, is that it was a crime drama, police procedural kind of thing, that instead of showing the cops as the heroes or as like the good guys that win and save the day, like, this was all about the corruption, which it was at the time was a very interesting twist. The show ran for 7 seasons, if I'm not mistaken, and it has a number of notable, like, big name actors that took on prolonged roles in the show throughout its history. According to Wikipedia here, they say, including Glenn Close, who was the female lead in season 4, Forrest Whitaker, who starred in seasons 5 and 6, and then some I'm not super familiar with, but Laura Herring in season 5, Franca Potente.
Franca Potente. Is that
Potente? Yes.
Is that Jean Grey? That's Franca Jensen. It's Franca Potente. Is that Run Lola Run? Is that who that is?
Let me see. Let me look her up here. I'm really not familiar with her filmography. She is in Run Lola Run.
Okay.
She is in Anatomy 2. She's in Creep. She's in The Conjuring 2. Television. She's done.
What if we conjured again?
Right. She did The Bridge in 2008. She was in the House, I think, for an episode. All that
we don't
stuff.
have to keep reading. I just wanted you to confirm to me if that was the lady from Run Lola Run.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with that one. So yeah, number of TV big name actors and actresses that took on roles in this, and this is available on Hulu. So I say, why not? Let's check it out.
Okay, yeah. I do remember the show because I would watch a lot of movies on FX. I think all of the shows it was running were above my head. So I never watched them, but I remember so many commercials. I remember being secondhand so familiar with The Shield and Rescue Me and all these other programs that I'm sure were like well acclaimed for adult viewers, but like meant nothing to me as a 12-year-old who's just trying to watch like a movie.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, I like, this is one of the things that I have felt like for a long time I should go back and check out. And one of my favorite shows is The Wire on HBO. That's a fantastic show. But they like this show is widely also put up there with like, hey, if you want like good crime drama that shows the like gritty ins and outs, moral gray of police and all of that stuff, you watch The Wire and you watch The Shield. So we shall see what is up with this one. And it says there's some like a conclusion to the pilot that is just like,
oh, that's good.
Oh my God. So yeah, that's why I want to check this one out. So The Shield, available on Hulu. Go check it out. That's what we'll do this next month.
All righty.
Good stuff. Well, once again, thank you for checking this out. We hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for being a patron, and we will see you all next time. Bye.
Bye.